For anyone who has gone down the rabbit hole, I just started actually looking into it and I need to know more. She sounds and looks completely different, and mentally is clearly an entirely different person. I've seen what drugs have done to people on a physical level, but never all of these changes to this extent. If you don't believe that she's been gone and replaced with a doppelganger, I need an explanation. If you do believe it 100%, please elaborate and give some recommendations about what to watch/look into. When I first moved into my neighborhood in 2020, I used to keep the windows open. At this point it was September, and the weather was perfect. I was in my kitchen, just sitting down to eat when I felt eyes on me. I looked behind me and didn't see anyone there, so I turned back to eat, but I still felt uncomfortable, so I went to shut the window. I was shocked when I saw a much older man, probably in his mid-60s or early 70s, looking into my house. For context, I was a 20-year-old female who was living on my own for the first time. When asking other neighbors about who he was, I was terrified to find out that he had been a problem for many years, and that he was the main suspect in an unsolved murder. To this day I usually have my shades closed. The man in question still lives in my neighborhood. Thankfully I have really good neighbors who make sure that I'm okay. I won't forget it in this life. As a child I woke in the middle of the night and turned over. At the side of my bed was this 3 feet tall demon with black matted down fur. It had sharp teeth and an ear-to-ear grin. I made eye contact with it and it started laughing, kind of like Golem from Lord of the Rings but more wicked. It said to me, "Starve, starve, starve," and laughed some more. I hid under the covers for a few minutes. I lifted the covers off my head and it appeared to be gone, but then it slowly rematerialized at the end of my bed and was smiling. Then it faded out and disappeared. I ran to my mother's room and told her I saw something scary. She prayed for me and surprisingly I went right back to sleep. I woke up the next morning and out from the corner a 7 feet tall glowing man walked out into the middle of my room. He wore a white gown, with a thick gold belt and gold sandals. He had a very peaceful smile. I think it was an angel, but he didn't have wings. I covered my face with the blanket and when I removed it he was gone. Memories I will never forget. My childhood friends and I were at a local bar when our elementary art school teacher approached and offered to buy us drinks. She was pretty cool as a teacher, always took interest in her students and told cool stories about her childhood in Wales. Anyway, after one drink the topic of conversation took a 180 and she started telling us that she and her family members have all experienced close encounters, anything from abductions to missing time. We were in shock, just sat there listening for 30 minutes. I asked a couple follow-up questions about the nature of these experiences, and the overall gist was that aliens were focused on certain bloodlines and genetics. I was always interested in the paranormal, but this experience definitely led me down some rabbit holes. Fast forward 3 years later, I've started a new job as a staff analyst and I am in another state doing an audit with my senior. About halfway through the week our senior manager meets us on the site to check on things and takes us out to lunch. About 5 minutes after sitting down he starts telling this weird story about an experience him and his family had. Essentially none of his family could remember the last 5 hours of their drive home from vacation. They started driving in the night and woke up the next morning in their driveway. He was completely serious and had no idea what could have caused it, and had no theories on what it could be. The weird as fuck part was that it sounded exactly like one of the stories my art teacher told us at the bar. I didn't say anything at lunch because I didn't want to sound crazy and left it at that. Anyway, after lunch I did a quick Google search on the origins of the guy's last name, somewhat common but unique sounding for sure. Turns out it originated in Wales, same place my teacher was from. This was a few months ago. I was at her house, it was a fairly normal night and I was sitting on her couch writing. I look up to see her standing in the doorway that leads into her bedroom, She was crying and holding her hands to her face, clearly very upset. I thought it was her at first but quickly heard the sounds from her rummaging around in the closet and walking around out of my view. It looked just like her but was more of a ghostly silhouette, if that makes sense. The shape began to fade away and shortly after she walked through the doorway, not looking upset at all and very much a solid figure. I was a little shocked but didn't want to frighten her, so I haven't shared this story. I am curious if anyone has insight into what that could have been. How would me and my friends go about getting into Bohemian Grove and getting footage safely? We know there is advanced security and retired military personnel working there. Our goal is to make it to the owl statue and get video and book it out of there. Please give me ideas and ways we could execute this. I awoke at 3 a.m. to find a lady in my room carrying a ladder and whispering something about her lost child. I did some aromatherapy, lavender, cedarwood, and frankincense, to help her find her child. I've been seeing spirits since I was small. I remember lying in bed as a child and seeing Victorian ghosts walk around my room at night before I knew what that type of fashion was. A woman called the store to order a pizza. The girl answering the phone asked her if she wanted to leave a tip and I heard the woman say 50 cents. The girl didn't know if she said 15% or 50 cents. Needless to say, the woman ended up not pre-tipping. And of course, me being the lucky individual I am, was the driver to receive this order. This woman was staying in an extended stay hotel. I walked up the stairs. My COPD does not do good with stairs. I knocked on the door, and I hear her yell, "Who is it?" I say my store's name and she says, "Hold on a minute." This woman, clearly high, answers the door. I ask her if she wants to leave a tip and to sign the receipt. She says, "I thought I told the store to leave a 50-cent tip." I guess they didn't understand. She took the receipt and closed the door. In the back of my mind I'm thinking to myself, she better not steal my fucking pen. After a few minutes, she opens the door and asks me, "Is this line where I put the tip and I sign here?" I said yes and she shut the door again. After what seems like a million years, she comes back and hands me the receipt. With my lovely 50-cent tip. And an incorrect total amount. We just moved into a new apartment a week ago and I began to experience some strange things here. Just a bit ago, a woman's voice very clearly asked me, "Are you okay?" Then when I went back to my bedroom and closed the door, it started creaking like someone was trying to open it. I don't know who the spirit is or what her relation to the apartment is, as it's not an old building at all. Just super weird, but she seems friendly at least. I moved into a Christian house where I can hear demons making noises or spirits around 3 a.m. This includes slamming kitchen cabinets, breaking kitchenware. My roommate inhales and exhales like there's spirits moving in and out of him, and it sounds almost like he's trying to talk in his sleep. I have witnessed a portrait fly off the wall before as soon as I woke up. I have fallen out of Christianity due to high judgment. I have heard the fire alarm get triggered as if it had low battery only once and it never sounded again for months. I sometimes hear tapping from the attic, etc. Any thoughts? I was roommates with a couple for over 2 years, cost of living problems. I rented a room in their house. The woman owned it, and the boyfriend was along for the ride. He was from Michigan, north of Detroit. The home is in Portland, Oregon. The boyfriend told me a story of when he was at his home north of Detroit, and one of his small sons started screaming, and he went into the son's room to see what was up, and the boy was pointing at the ceiling. The guy looked up and saw a pale man crawling on the ceiling. Described him as super skinny, like an Auschwitz survivor, super pale, with red glowing eyes. The guy went into his bedroom, grabbed his shotgun from the closet, and came back, and the crawler was crawling down the hallway on the ceiling, so the guy took a shot at it, but it didn't even flinch but crawled into the attic door in the ceiling of the hallways and disappeared. The guy called some of his friends who brought their guns over, and they looked all throughout the house including the attic but found nothing. He was adamant that was a true story. I've read other stories about these creatures who are sometimes called rakes and other times pale crawlers. The Native Americans called them wendigos and described them as very pale and emaciated with red eyes and large dangerous teeth and claws. This same fellow, the boyfriend to the house owner, had an old German Shepherd dog. The dog was abandoned by her first owners. Dog's name was Gabby. Gabby was obsessed with the man, and never wanted him to leave her side. I think she feared being abandoned again. Well, Gabby attacked a opossum that has gotten in the backyard and killed it, but the opossum had some disease and Gabby got the disease and seemed to be going blind. So, the guy decided he had to get rid of Gabby but didn't want to pay the $300 to the vet to put her to sleep. So, he called a friend and they took a shotgun and they took Gabby up to the mountains and finished her off with the shotgun. The guy was heartbroken but he figured he had no choice and could not afford to get her treated and did not want to see her suffer. Anyway, one night I came back late and went into the kitchen and there were no lights on, just light from the moon, and in the kitchen I saw the very clear shadow of a German Shepherd. Well, that house had 3 German Shepherds. Gabby was only one of them. I pinched off a little of the meat in my cheeseburger I had bought and offered it to the dog, who appeared to sniff it but I couldn't hear any sniffing. It was very dark except for some moonlight. In any case, I was surprised when the dogs would not eat the meat. Dogs always love meat, and the dog walked down the hallway into the bathroom. I followed the dog, only to find the bathroom door shut. I was right behind the dog. On the other side of the bathroom was another door that led to the bedroom of the woman and the boyfriend, owner of Gabby. The only way the shadow dog could have gotten into the bathroom was to walk through the door, which it did. I guess Gabby just couldn't not stay away even in death. The other incident I had in that house was that I would have dreams in which young women would crawl from under the house and tell me that they were buried under there and if would help them. There is no basement in the house, just some crawl space that is infested with dangerous spiders. I had no intention of digging there. But later I dug a hole for a fence post and found a young woman's old-style bikini bottom. Several times something flicked my shirt in various places, and I'd look around and see nobody. Several other times something kicked my bed hard at night, but I was always alone. Makes you wonder.
Like, share, subscribe and be sure to check the notification bell. Follow the Atomic Shaman on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Listen to Paranormal Green Text Stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube. Catch the live streams of Atomic Shaman Sweat Lodge only on Rumble.